Good morning, everyone. It's Tess, and today is tip 210, and I'm going to talk about slow it down. And I figured I'd start with this little device, and I think you probably saw that it was blinking a few seconds ago. I guess I'm in the living room, and the sun is a little funny today, but maybe I'll try to close this a little bit. So basically what I decided to do is I've been live on the challenge group the past few days because the doc has opened the challenge for the month of August. And I've heard a lot of people talking about eating too fast and slowing down. And Doc V's done a lot of videos on slowing down and how to eat slower and enjoy your meals. And I thought today I would talk about slowing down. And I found an article in Cooking Light where a woman actually studied this and did 5 different tests on how she found slower eating. And it made me think about this device too that John Jones from the Dr. V Challenge Group has created this device, and he calls it a mindful electronic eating device. And what you just saw when I first came on is that after you eat, it'll go 30 minutes and then it will blink nonstop to tell you that it's okay to drink water. Because for a lot of bariatric patients, so they get the most of absorption of vitamins and nutrients, we have a space of 30 minutes after we eat, and then we'll start drinking water again. So what you saw was that this will start, it'll kind of flash at you after 30 minutes. And it probably wasn't the best video because of the sun, but it will flash at you so that you know that your 30 minutes have passed and you can start drinking. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm not going to actually show you because I don't eat my first meal until later in the day. But what you do is when you take a bite and you start chewing it, there's a button on top here and you push it. And so this will have a red light on it, and it's supposed to slow you down because it'll go 30 seconds and then it will go off. Hi, Miss Patsy. It will go off so that you know that you can signal for your next bite of food. So I thought this was interesting. And like I said, it's someone from the tribe, so I wanted to buy it. And I have been using it. And I don't always remember, but when I try to remember, it does slow me down and I hesitate between bites. And sometimes what I'll do is, there you saw it. After 30 seconds, it went off. So then what I'll do is what I'm finding is because I'm paying attention, I'll still be chewing my food after this has gone off. So after I finish chewing, sometimes what I'll do is I'll hit it a second time. So now it's on, and then I'll wait before I take my next bite until it goes off the second time. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it went in line with what I was going to talk about today, which is slowing down eating and these 5 different theories that this one particular Cooking Light article talked about, because it gave you hints about eating slower. And I know that we all know that that's something we should be doing, but so you just see it just went off. So that's actually the amount of time between bites that I tend to try to do when I'm using this device. But what was kind of interesting is, because we're doing the fundamentals in the Doc V Challenge these past few days. Good morning, Miss Patsy. Good to see you. Good to see you. And so what I decided is I was going to just look at these articles about how do we slow down eating. And interestingly enough, Americans are the worst at it. And I guess that probably shouldn't surprise me. But what they were saying, this is a Cooking Light article, and it was called Fast Eating. And this woman wanted to test ways to eat slower, because what she said is her life was always on the go. She was very athletic. She was in college. She was doing multiple things all the time. And I've been one of those people most of my life too. So she was always eating, that she was grabbing something quick before going to college at night, grabbing something quick before she went to the gym, grabbing something quick on the way to work in the morning. And that's kind of typical of most Americans. And what was kind of interesting about it is that what she said is, we eat quickly and we eat distractedly. As Americans, we're fast eaters, and we consider it part of our busy lifestyle that we tend to love to glorify. And I thought, wow, that's kind of true. And what did she say were the examples? Do you eat at your desk? Do you eat your dinner on the way to the gym? Because if you eat at your desk, you're a dedicated employee. If you have dinner on the way to the gym, you're a disciplined person. And it said, we tend to do that because we glorify this busy lifestyle. And it said, maybe we need to rethink a little bit. Like in Spain, dinner lasts 2 hours. And a 2-hour meal is because they want to stop and enjoy the flavor. They want to smell. then they also reconnect with the people in their lives by slowing the meal down. And I know when I get together with Patsy or I got together with Patsy and a couple of other people that I've known in my life, we do take a longer time because we are catching up. So we don't, when we're together and we haven't seen each other in a long time, we do take this time to slow down. And that is when we reconnect. But too much of our lives, I've been guilty of this too, eating at my desk because I want to look like, I'm a valued, caring employee. Hi, Phoenix Love. How are you? I know that I do and I call her Phoenix Love, but that's not her real name. But I do think that we do eat too fast. So I'm going to show this again because I showed it to Patsy. And I know that we're all kind of aware of this in the tribe, but this is the mindful electronic eating device that John Jones put together. And so what I'll kind of show you is in the very beginning of this video, I showed that after 30 minutes, it blinks a nonstop red light to tell you that your 30 minutes have passed. If you honor that, wait 30 minutes before you drink water, it will give you that tool. And now what would happen is if I took a bite of food and I press this, you can see there's a red light on it, and it will go 30 seconds and then it will go off. So I'll let this go while I'm still talking. So, and I was saying that like Americans, we glorify our meals, we eat fast, and we say it's a dedication and a discipline. For Spain, they talk about a 2-hour meeting. I know, isn't that cool? That's why I didn't say your real name, because I'm like, no, I'm going to let her be who she wants to be. But in Spain, see, it just went off. So if I'm using this, what I do is that 30 seconds I'm chewing, I wait till I'm completely done chewing, then I'll hit it again, and then I'll make sure that I hesitate before I take my next bite till this goes off. So it is saying that studies show that slowing down can help us to lose weight. Slowing down allows our body to grab more, especially those of us bariatric. It allows our body to be able to grab more nutrients as it's going through our system, and it lowers our BMI. So I thought, wow, those are all great tools. So maybe I got to make sure I'm using this more often. The American Heart Association, and I'll push this again. So what I would have done is I started it and I was chewing, because I want to make sure that I'm chewing as long as that first 30 seconds goes. And then the American Heart Association was talking about fast eaters are 11% more likely to end up with metabolic syndrome. And we all hear about that all the time here in America, metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome, with other risk factors, 3 of them together cause us to be a high risk for heart disease. And see, it went off. So that's when I would be done chewing. Then I tend to push it one more time. It's blinking. And then that's when I'll wait before I take my next bite. At least that's what I've been doing. It might not be exactly how John created it, but I'm sure he'll let me know if I'm not doing it right. But then back to the American Heart Association, 11% of fast eaters are more likely to develop metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome with like 2 other risk factors makes you a high risk for heart disease. And these risk factors that cause us problems with our heart include obesity, high fat levels in our body, high blood pressure, and high sugar levels in our bodies. See, it went off again. So it's kind of a cool tool. Now, we all know that we have a lot of medical issues in America. This woman was noticing that it is kind of an American thing. It's an American that we glorify being busy. I have to remember to eat lunch away from it. Yeah, and I was shocked because she kind of said how we glorify it. I'm really busy, so I can't leave. Or look at me, employer. I'm so dedicated. I won't walk away from my desk. I eat right at my desk. And I thought it's true. It's kind of interesting because John Jones, who created this, is from Europe. So maybe even him, they're trying to counter it before they get as crazy as the Americans are. But this woman then went the next step and she found 5 methods used to slow down eating. And I'm going to pull the YouTube video. Doc V did a YouTube video that was really cute because he was the director of bariatrics at Lovelace in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he actually educated his patients. He required 6 months of attending his support group before he would operate on them. And I'll push this again. And what he would do is that he would tape these videos, and he's put a lot of them on YouTube because he's no longer a practicing surgeon, but he's trying to educate those of us in this community to make it long term. Yeah, isn't that funny? And I'm finding that part of my journey too is learning to have the self-confidence to say no. I'm a quality employee and I know I'm a quality employee. And what I'm finding is that I am being accepted for what I'm willing to give now, because they realize that, especially those of us that are older in our careers, this is my theory on it. If we are as skilled as we are, have the experience we have, whether we have 3, 5, 10 years left in our jobs, their big complaint is that the new generation coming up only stays with them a couple of years. So what's their choice? Are they going to pick us, who have a lot of skills behind us, and get the same number of years out of us, or the younger generation that's only going to give them the same number of years we have left? It's a choice. You know, they can claim we're older all we want, but there's a lot of people out there that want our skills. So it's a trade-off. They need a mix of both. They need the senior generation or the older generation to share the knowledge or the experiences that they've had through their career with the younger generation. So truly, we're all needed. And I'm not going to let anybody convince me that age is a factor anymore, because like even my current employer, I said, you know, don't try to pull that card on me because you hired me within the past 2 years. And if you wanted me, what makes you think somebody else wouldn't want me? And I think that's our thing, is that we're the first generation that didn't go into a job and remain loyal to it our entire career. So we had to relearn how to be part of that workforce. Yeah, 23 years. And it does come to a point where they do need you, and they need you to be a guide, to give a history to the next generation that comes through. And even if you only have 5 years, it's very unusual that any of the younger generation will stay 5 years. And I don't fault them for that, because if you're not going to be taken care of in the way that historically we were all in a job for the rest of our career, why should they stay? If an employer is going to do what's in their best interest, and we understand that's how it is, it's at will, then we as employees have to do what's in our own best interest. So now I know I diverged, but I think we're all of value and we need to recognize that. So now I'll go into the 5 methods that this woman used to test fast eating. And her first one was change environment. And I've heard this before, and it's kind of a pretty and a nice thing to do. She said, be civilized when you eat, you know, be like the Spanish, set a big, beautiful table, sit down and enjoy your meal and savor the smells and enjoy the conversation. Do not have a plate over the counter, a fast food meal in your car, sitting at your desk watching TV. Make the meal something that's specific, that you're sitting down to, because then you actually monitor it. When you're sitting in front of the television, or you're driving through somewhere, or you're at your desk, I think we pick at it, and we don't stop because we don't realize what we've already eaten. They say it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell you you're full. Well, we become so busy, we don't realize how long it's been, and we more or less, since we tend to put too much on our plate, we're not done until the plate is empty. And sometimes, since it's not been 20 minutes that our body told us we're full, we go get a second helping and mindlessly eat that too without even knowing it, which is probably where that word mindfulness came from, because we're mindlessly living our lives. The number 2, and this woman said changing her environment was a beautiful thing. They fought it at first because they loved to eat in front of the TV, but it improved her relationships. It improved her ability to narrow, this is the time I'm going to eat and nothing more. And she really, truly enjoyed presenting a beautiful place to eat and making it about the food for that period of time, allowing herself to have that brief window. Here's the food, put it away, done. She loved that. Counting chews, that was her second approach, which made me think of my mindful eating device, and I'll let it light again. She said that she loved this, but the problem with counting, you're supposed to chew until you have no lumps left, because your body burns extra calories because it's able to get the nutrients out of the food. She said for all purposes, it was a great tool, but what she found for herself is, because she didn't have one of these tools that John Jones created, she would get distracted and she'd forget. So she would end up going back to her old habits. She said it was going to be a long time before she could ever put it into place. So if counting your chews or slowing your chews down is something, this was kind of it is a cool tool. So that was her only shortcoming of counting your chews, was that she would get distracted and not realize that she had started chewing faster again. So that's why a tool like that will come into play. And I don't think anybody else has anything like that. I think that's unique to John Jones, just created probably within the past year. Number 3, water between bites. She said that annoyed her. It made her food feel bad, and she didn't feel so good. For bariatric patients, we know that we're not supposed to drink a lot of water because they want our body to be able to absorb the nutrients, and it gets all diluted if you put a lot of water in between. So she found it didn't work for her as non-bariatric, and bariatric, most of us make sure we separate it because we want our body to get the nutrients. Her next one was 4, find slower eaters and try to mimic them. And she said, in America, there are no slow eaters. And she found the only people she ran into were slow eaters, were someone from Ireland and someone from Australia. She said, most of us are ingrained with fast eating. So she found it very difficult to find a slow eater to try to mimic. And her last one was utensils down. This reminded me a lot of Doc V. Doc V's video, if I'm remembering it exactly, because I haven't watched it in a little while, but when he was talking to his bariatric patients, he kind of said, and I still do this, I have a small plate, and I use children's silverware, and I actually, what he would say to do is when you're eating and you take that bite and you're slowing down and chewing slowly, after you get done, you put your utensil down, and then he would say, and sit on your hands and count to 100. And he was making jokes about it, but this was an actual time when he was a doctor educating his bariatric team. Sit on your hands and talk to the person next to you, and sit on your hands again and play with your fork, and then you can pick up your fork and take another bite. Then when you're done, sit on your hands and talk to your person next to you and sit on your hands again. Because it was back to the same thing that what this is trying to do is slow you down between bites. We as Americans have truly glorified the idea that we're busy, and because we're busy, we're disciplined eating at our desks, we're fast food driving through on the way to the next job, we're fast food driving on the way to drive kids to a next sporting event. We have glorified being busy, and we have incorporated food into it in a way that we mindlessly eat. We eat without even knowing we're eating. I know I'm guilty of that, and that's probably part of the reason I've had to be really careful as a bariatric patient, because I could easily in the beginning, before I started using smaller plates and smaller utensils, I still sometimes have a problem with putting smaller portions down because my head doesn't always wrap around the fact that my stomach is smaller. And if it's mindlessly there, we know it'll go through our system, for us bariatric, in 30 minutes. So you'll keep eating even though you're not hungry. And so if you can put some of these tools into play, like I said, I'll go through the 5 again that this woman gave us, and then you can pick the one that works for you. This is John Jones' mindful electronic eating device. Every 30 seconds, a red light will go off telling you that you can take your next bite. The way I was doing it, or the way I do it, is I'll take a bite and I'll start chewing, and I want to make sure that I am still chewing at the end of the first 30 seconds. Then I do it a second time before I can take my next bite. But this is John Jones, and those in the tribe know who John Jones is. So this is one of the tools that has been created as part of Doc V's tribe. The 5 methods this woman from Cooking Light tested, and was number 1, change your environment, create a beautiful table, sit down to the table so that you have a time and a place that you're eating, that you're not on the run, so that you can focus and you know that you're eating, so that you don't get carried away mindlessly eating because you're on your way to an event, or you're at your desk trying to get a job done, or you're in front of the TV and you don't know how much you're eating. Her second one was count chews, and that's where this came into play. As she said that she loved it, that it slowed her down, but her problem was she got distracted and she wasn't able to continue counting chews because it's not an ingrained habit and it was hard for her, which is why I thought of this. And then number 3 was water between bites. She didn't like how it made her body feel. As bariatric patients, we know that we space our water from our food just so our body can absorb the nutrients as we go through, or at least that's what my bariatric team says. I think there's some controversy on that, but whatever your doctor has advised you to do, you can follow that. The next one, the number 4 recommendation was find a slower eater and try to mimic them. And this woman said in America she couldn't find slower eaters. Finally, she found a friend that was from Ireland and a friend from Australia. They were slower eaters. She tried to mimic them, but it was hard. But finding slower eaters in America, I guess, is not very easy because we all believe the busy life lets us eat fast. And then the last one, number 5, reminded me a lot of Doc V. Smaller plates, children's utensils, put your hands under your lap, set your silverware down between bites, do something to slow yourself down. I wanted to make sure I got on today because I've been doing lives in Dr. V's group the past few days, and I didn't do them in the morning. And I find if I don't do them in the morning, life gets away from me and I forget doing my lives. And now that I'm like, number 210? Yeah, 210 of these in. I don't want to stop because the doc is right. If I stay engaged in this journey and I stay sharing this journey, it's an accountability for me. I'm 5 years out, 160 some pounds down. And again, I don't marry to the exact number because I know I want it to get bigger. I know that staying engaged is what's going to help me to make this long term. This is the first time I've gone 5 years without regain, and I just don't want one. And by regain, I mean I haven't had a 10-pound regain because I'm continually trying to monitor it. So that's what I mean. Does my weight fluctuate day to day? Yes. That's why I weigh day to day so that I know if I need to make an adjustment. If it's up 0.6 or rare occasions, but a pound, then I'll know, did I not get enough water? Because if you don't get enough water, your body will retain water. So it kind of just gives me the tools to move forward. I hope this helps you. Again, this was John Jones from the tribe. And give yourself a chance. I kind of liked number 1, change your environment. Create a beautiful place where you can sit down, relax, enjoy your meal, focus on your meal, and then go out and enjoy something in life. If we eat in front of the TV or at our desk or on the road, I think that we're distracted by so many other things that we get carried away. And the side effects, the problems with metabolic syndrome and our heart are things that we don't want to face if at all possible. So you guys have a beautiful, beautiful day. Those in the tribe, I will go live again at 8:30 tonight for us to have a chance to recap Doc V's challenge. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. Make it count and enjoy some of this beautiful weather. I already walked this morning to watch the sunrise, and I hope you find a beautiful scene before you sometime today. Thank you.